I worked with Dr. Smith from when I started in 1942 until his death in 1963.
One had the impression that he was really on top of what he was doing.
I had the privilege of joining Roy Arrington's small group in 1951, just before the installation of the first Cobalt 60 therapy machine in London, Ontario.
But he must have sensed that there was some action, or he really knew there was some action in this field, which was sort of avant-garde material.
I just remembered the excitement of Dr. Smith and the staff and the people that were there to observe.
And as I say, he was the leader, the sort of the inspiration, the driver, shall we say.
There was a small magazine wrote up an article. The cobalt bomb was the be-all and the end-all of cancer clinic. And patients just flooded into the cancer clinic from all over the world.
Hello, I'm Ken Shaw. What you have just heard are reflections of a Canadian success story that began a half-century ago. Something special that people at the London Regional Cancer Centre and all Canadians can celebrate and be very proud of. These people were some of the pioneers of radiation therapy. The early 1950s were exciting times in Canadian medical history. While pioneering work in clinical radiation therapy was going on at the LRCC, another team led by Dr. Harold Johns at the University of Saskatchewan was busy perfecting the design of Cobalt 60 therapy machines. From the earliest days of using radiation beams to fight cancer, the London Regional Cancer Centre has been a key player in the use of radiation in medicine. Over the last 5 decades, millions of lives have been saved around the world through nuclear medical treatments. As well, at least 50% of cancer patients today are treated with radiation therapy. Now, I'd like to show you where it all started back in Chalk River, Ontario in the early 1950s. This is a nuclear reactor where radioisotopes are born. One of the first produced was Cobalt 60, which has played an important role in the battle against certain cancers. Atomic Energy of Canada Limited, better known today as AECL, designed and built one of Canada's first nuclear reactors. Shortly after it was built, it began making radioisotopes that are used today in over 100 different medical diagnostic procedures and therapies. Medical applications played a key role in research into alternative uses of nuclear energy. And since the first Cobalt 60 radiation treatment for cancer patients in London, Ontario, the nuclear side of medicine has enjoyed amazing progress. Canada enjoyed a head start in the production of Cobalt 60. Today, Canada provides 80% of the world's supply of this valuable isotope. But before radiation can go to work in the patient, the isotopes involved go through a long and involved production process. Let's take a brief look. An isotope is an atom of an element, Cobalt 60, for example, that has different properties than the base element. Most isotopes are created in nuclear reactors. When applied to nuclear medicine, they are known as radiopharmaceuticals. Once the radioisotopes are taken from the reactor, they must be processed to make them safe for medical use. Canadian scientists discovered long ago that the radiation from Cobalt 60 has more energy than ordinary X-rays. This energy makes it effective against certain cancers that are located more deeply in the body. For cancer therapy, a beam of radiation from the Cobalt 60 is aimed at the targeted position in the patient. The radiation works by destroying the cancerous cells while causing minimal damage to healthy tissue which is exposed to less radiation. Radiation therapy remains an important part of the expanding use of radioisotopes. In addition to cancer detection, uses include bone density measurements, lung scans to look for evidence of blood clots, heart scans to measure blood flow to the heart muscle, and thyroid function tests. Radioisotopes produced at the Chalk River laboratories are used in 5,000 hospitals and clinics in North America alone, and that adds up to at least 1 million nuclear medicine procedures in Canada every year. The London Regional Cancer Centre has remained at the forefront of radiation medicine in Canada with advances in cancer research and treatment. About 60,000 radiation treatments are carried out at the LRCC each year. For those who might have concerns about the amount of actual radiation used, Consider that individual doses are carefully measured. A typical treatment exposes the patient to a controlled amount of radiation aimed specifically at the tumor cells. Dr. Jerry Batista is Director of Physics, Education, and Research at the London Regional Cancer Center.
It would have been a world's first. It was also a very competitive environment with the work going on in Saskatchewan and the work going on in Ontario, and the two reaching the point of treating patients almost in a photo finish. Would have been a very exciting time. Also a very nervous time because these sources were new. Their calibration from a dose point of view had to be very precise so that patients would not be overdosed. So mixed with the excitement was also a lot of tension, especially on the part of the radiation physicist, to make sure that everything had been calibrated properly.
Cancer medicine has come a long way since the first cancer patient was treated with radiation therapy here at the LRCC in 1951. Over the last half century, radiation therapy has evolved into a safe and effective method of treatment. And in an era of rapidly escalating healthcare costs, accurate diagnosis and well-coordinated treatment options become even more of a priority for Canadians.
Well, Dr. Smith was thrilled to think that this had come to pass. And along with expectations, waiting. And I think he just thought, it's a miracle that we should have a Cobalt unit in our London clinic.